Thank you, Ben Baba. Wonderful. Good afternoon, good evening to all of you. Wonderful to see you all here for this symposium. Obviously, there is a great interest in this topic. And we have three eminent experts in spirituality as well as body wellness. So looking forward to a wonderful symposium. Maybe we can take home one or two hints from this symposium. So welcome. Just to quickly review the agenda that we have three speakers. They will take about half an hour each. After that, we will have half an hour question and answer session. We will have a little music at the end, and we'll conclude the symposium. So thank you, welcome. I will do a brief introduction that is already there on the screen. But it would be wonderful to read it. First, we will invite Dr. David Lee. David Lee, PhD, is a professor and chair of the Department of Public Health Sciences at the University of Miami Miller School of Medicine. Dr. Lee is a chronic disease and occupational epidemiologist with interest in application of mind-body practices such as meditation and yoga in the management of chronic conditions and for workers employed in high-stress occupations. He has researched the psychological benefits of mindfulness training in educators, examined the prevalence of these practices across the United States, and has developed coursework for students on the benefits of mind-body practices in public health and medicine. Dr. Lee? I'll leave this on here. Eh?
Sure. Turn this off there.
Well, whichever way you want.
Thank you so much for that kind introduction. Oops. Uh-oh. Yeah. Okay, someone else is in control here. All right, there we go. Okay. So Jon Kabat-Zinn is a creator of a very well-known evidence-based program called Mindfulness-based stress reduction, or MBSR. Dr. Zinn was training for his PhD in molecular biology at MIT in 1971 when he was first exposed to the practice of meditation. And after graduation, Dr. Zinn moved to the University of Massachusetts Medical School and started to work with patient populations there that were very challenged. These were patient populations that medicine had reached its limits in terms of what they could do for these patients. Individuals with chronic pain syndromes, for example, individuals with a variety of very, very serious chronic conditions. And he started to treat these patients from what he had learned from his meditative practices that he started at MIT. He started to introduce practices like breath awareness, body scan, mindful eating, mindful movement practices, and worked with these patients to train them in these practices and started to see the benefits accrue in these population. Over time, he developed a very formalized program that was 8 weeks in length. Patients would meet once a week, and they would learn these new practices, and then they would be assigned homework to go and practice what they learned each day, and asking them to commit a fair amount of time, like an hour of their time to learn these practices. Eventually, he had a very, very formalized program that was manualized so that the program could be delivered by others. And he developed a very standard and rigorous training program for the teachers of MBSR. So teachers themselves had to have an established meditation practice and would undergo observation while they were leading classes, and they also had to go on silent retreats. So they were well grounded in their own practice before they became teachers themselves. And this standardization and manualization of the program was really vital for the scientific study of the benefits of MBSR, because this could now be done at any hospital or any location under the guidance and tutelage of trained instructors. So what is mindfulness? That term now has entered the popular vernacular, but whoops, I need to be advancing my slides simultaneously. Sorry about that. The term mindfulness has entered the popular vernacular, but a common definition of what that means is somewhat elusive. But John Kabat-Zinn defines mindfulness as awareness that arises through paying attention on purpose in the present moment, non-judgmentally. And then sometimes he adds in the service of self-understanding and wisdom. Now, given his early exposure to meditation, it's not surprisingly that MBSR practices do have their origins in Buddhist traditions. And there was a quote in one article by John Kabat-Zinn where he described this integration of these practices in a Western setting. And he was quoted as saying, "The intention and approach behind MBSR was never meant to exploit, fragment, or decontextualize the Dharma, but rather recontextualize it within the frameworks of science, medicine, including psychiatry and psychology, and healthcare, so that it would be maximally useful to people who could not hear it or enter into it through the more traditional Dharma gates, whether they were doctors or medical patients, hospital administrators, or insurance companies." Now, in part as a result of that early work that John Kabat-Zinn had done to standardize and manualize this protocol, there was an opportunity to really study the benefits of MBSR. And there were a number of studies that were launched, or just a handful of studies, I should say, that were launched prior to the year 2000. And what this chart is depicting is the exponential rise in the number of published research studies on MBSR and other mindfulness-based interventions. And what we're seeing here are studies, a specific type of study called a randomized controlled trial. And this is considered to be the pinnacle of scientific biomedical research, where you take a group of individuals and you randomize them, randomly assign them into different groups. And then one group would receive, say, MBSR, another group might receive a educational pamphlet or some other intervention that the investigators didn't think would necessarily address the target issue that they were studying, like a change in a reduction in depressive symptoms, for example. So these are studies that are difficult to do. They're very time-consuming, and the kind of the ramp up in terms of the number of published studies out there really didn't take off until about 2010, where you start to see this dramatic increase in the number of published studies out there. So now this is a summary visualization of the evidence for the benefits of mindfulness interventions. And this was compiled about 10 years ago, so it doesn't even capture the more recent studies. But just to orient you to this graphic, the vertical axis are the number of those randomized controlled trials. The bubbles or the circles represent the number of what we call systematic reviews and meta-analyses. These are studies that basically compile all of the individual studies and summarize them either in narrative form or provide a statistical summary of the benefits of that particular practice. And the graph is divided into three slices there. On the left are the studies that show no evidence of an effect. In the middle are the studies that show mixed results, some positive, some negative. And on the right-hand side are the studies that are showing evidence of potential benefit. And the bubble here on the right-hand side, if this cursor doesn't really view there, but on the right-hand side up at the top, that small red bubble represents all of the MBSR studies that were targeting various different types of health outcomes, and that's representing about, at that time, about 30 or so randomized controlled trials. MBSR is also showing evidence for improvement in those living with chronic conditions and also improvements in psychological symptoms like depressive symptoms and symptoms of anxiety. Now, in parallel, the neuroscientists were increasingly utilizing MRI technology to peer into our brains. It was just a generation or two ago that we used to think that after young adulthood, all the brain connections were wired and they were done, and then there was just a slow decline in kind of your brain function at that time. And with the invention of the MRI, we learned that there's, the brain is this wonderful organ that has this tremendous plasticity, and that it responds to our environment and how we conduct our lives. And so some of the earliest studies looked at very experienced meditators who had thousands of hours of meditation, and they discovered that there were certain regions in their brains that looked different than non-meditators. And then they started doing MRI studies of individuals that were naive to meditation, and then give them an 8-week MBSR course, and take a brain scan beforehand and a brain scan afterwards, and then you were seeing changes in certain regions of the brain that were consistent with the change or the areas that had been highlighted in the previous studies of experienced meditators. So we are all capable of changing our brains. We can walk out here and make a commitment to want to do that. So I want to I forgot to advance again. My apologies. Okay, so I want to spend a moment just to talk about what I think is like one of the most brilliant studies that I've seen in this area of studying of the brain. And this was a study conducted over in Germany, and they took a group of individuals that were naive to meditation, and they were randomized into different groups. There was a control group that didn't do anything, but there was another group that was randomized to receive different types of meditative training over a course of about 9 months. And they took repeat MRI scans of these individuals. And what they were exposed to were 3 broad areas. One on the, that's not going to work. One on the left there in the green, focused on meditation where you're observing your own thoughts. They had exercises where you also did perspective taking between 2 individuals. And individuals were then trained in those practices for periods of weeks. Then they switched to different training. Up at the top in the yellow, they were being exposed to breath meditation and body scan. And then on the right-hand side were the loving kindness meditations and also some work in mirroring affect in between 2 individuals. And so they put these individuals through all 3 of these different trainings at distinct times. And so they basically were their own controls because they had their baseline MRI scan, and then they followed them over this 9-month period. And what did they find? Well, at the top here, at the top here is the controls. Okay, that first row there. And what they found over a 9-month period was that there was one region of the brain that actually showed cortical thinning. And this is just capturing the natural trajectory, because as we age, we can lose these connections within the brain. The set of brains on the bottom here are the intervention group. And they're color-coded, so their changes or increases in the density in the brain were mapped by the colors that correspond to the 3 types of interventions that they received. And what you can see is that these 3 different trainings had differential effects in different regions of the brain, which is just really fascinating. So these investigators also studied this group very extensively and looked at other outcomes as well, like stress reactivity, levels of self-compassion, attention, and other factors. And in the circle here, anytime you see a plus, that indicates for that slice of the wheel, they saw a significant improvement in that particular area. And as you can just sort of glance at that, you can see there's a lot of plus signs on that. So these trainings had differential effects on and positive effects on behavior, brain, and body functioning and body systems. There we go. All right, so kind of broadening out our lens a bit here. Mindfulness practices themselves fall under a much broader category of contemplative practices. And, the research base on some of these other practices, and I would argue including the practice of yoga as it's practiced here in the West, is extraordinarily limited. But regardless of these contemplative practices, one thing that kind of is cross-cutting is this cultivation of interiority as a common theme. There we go. So in the United States, in the last 20 years, we've had about a tripling of the number of Americans that are practicing yoga. So we really have seen this explosion. There's also been roughly a tripling in the number of individuals that report that they engage in meditative practices. And this is a study that is nationally representative of the U.S. population. So we've seen some really dramatic increases in a relatively short time frame for the practice of yoga and for the practice of meditation. Now, as I said earlier, one of the great strengths of MBSR was that it was a standardized and manualized program. When we look at the research on the health benefits of yoga, it's more challenging because there is no standardization. Yoga could be practiced in any number of ways and makes it very difficult from a scientific perspective to study it. One thing that you can do is sort of focus on elements of yogic practices and study that quite in a very focused way. And looking at breath practices is one example of this. And of course, as many of you know, breath practices are the foundation for many ancient contemplative practices. Both the Chinese and their qi and their prana, and this has given the opportunity to really look at even different yogic breathing practices and to study at least what the short-term effects of those are on body and mind. And we know that just focusing on slow breathing practices, that can really positively impact on a number of our bodily systems, our respiratory system, our cardiovascular system, and also regulation of the autonomic nervous system. So one example of this is the study of what's called maximum heart rate variability. And we know that in laboratory studies that maximum heart rate variability, which is a positive thing, is achieved around 6 breaths per minute. We know that this can sort of lower our autonomic arousal systems and can actually invigorate our respiratory system as well in terms of improving alveolar ventilation and reducing dead space kind of in our lungs. Oops. And slower respiration has been shown to increase levels of cardiorespiratory synchronization. This causes a shift in what we call the parasympathetic system itself, which is kind of the antithesis of being in a stress response situation when we have kind of the parasympathetic system in a dominant state. And so it's postulated that slow breathing practices can help in the treatment of anxiety disorders, and this has been identified in some studies. And so it's postulated that yoga practice is going to lower age-related degradation across multiple physiologic systems. The box on the right kind of stipulates some of the adverse effects of chronic stress on the body. And the model on the left really shows that yoga practice can sort of intervene at different levels of our body systems to help reduce this degradation across different systems within the body. So as I said, it's somewhat more difficult to look at actual yoga practice as a tool for addressing both mental and physical ailments. But there have been a number of studies out there, and we're starting to see some of the systematic reviews and meta-analyses being published. This is a paper that's looking at Yoga Nidra, so it's limited to that specific system. And there's evidence that a practice of Yoga Nidra can lower blood pressure and assist with the management of hypertension in people who are hypertensive. And what you're seeing on the screen here is kind of a summary statistical pooling of the data. And if you focus on the black diamonds on both the left and the right, the left graph is showing you the systolic blood pressure effects, the right showing the diastolic blood pressure effects. And that diamond does not touch that vertical line that is there. And that means that there's a statistically significant reduction in both systolic and diastolic blood pressure for those that are practicing Yoga Nidra. Going back for a moment to the MBSR literature, some of the strongest and most consistent effects that we see for the practice of MBSR is a reduction in both depressive symptomatology and also a reduction in symptoms of anxiety. And so there's been work to look at the effects of reducing both depressive symptoms and anxiety using yoga as well, but there are just a really small number of studies out there. There does appear to be a signal here that yoga can reduce depressive symptoms, but it's based on just a few studies here, and that diamond there is touching that horizontal line, so it's not quite statistically significant. And in studies that compare yoga to other behavioral interventions, we don't see a decline or difference in one or the other. So we can conclude that at this point that yoga does not appear to be superior when compared to other behavioral interventions. And things are even more sparse for looking at the effect of yoga on anxiety symptoms. Here we've got just 2 studies that have been statistically combined. But in this case, we getting a very clear signal that yoga can reduce anxiety symptoms. And in both of these studies, the focus was on a population of individuals that were living with an anxiety disorder. So we're actually treating, looks like yoga effectively can be an adjunct treatment for those that are living with anxiety disorders. There's been more work done looking at yoga, and in this case also Tai Chi, for enhancing resiliency in seniors. And here we have, again, a summary of individual studies, and yoga does appear to increase resiliency in seniors. And there's also a signal there for Tai Chi as well, but you can see that the lines crosses that horizontal line, that vertical line, indicating that it's not quite a statistically significant change. Of the conditions or the treatment strategies that they studied, actual programmatic exercise was also shown to be effective. So you can get those benefits either from practicing yoga or perhaps doing other programmatic exercise. So there's now Also, increasing work in using yoga in specific patient populations. And this is a paper that I once again statistically combined all of the individual studies, looking at the effects of yoga in breast cancer patients. What's unique about this study is that they included Chinese language studies. Oftentimes, non-English studies are excluded from all of these systematic reviews and meta-analyses, which is a problem. But these authors, some of whom were Chinese, could incorporate those Chinese publications and included those. And they found that for breast cancer patients, yoga reduced fatigue, depression and anxiety, and increased sleep quality and quality of life. So this is a very promising look at just one patient population. And with time, I believe there'll be other studies looking at yoga for the management of other chronic conditions as well. So to wrap up here, the scientific study of the health benefits of ancient contemplative practices is really in its infancy. We're just really getting started here in the last 20 years. I would say that the results to date suggest a broad range of mental and physical health benefits are associated with these practices. One area of really importance is we don't know much about dose and duration of practice. How much does it take to get a certain level of benefit? And so that needs to be worked out in the future. What we're learning in the mindfulness area is that it takes less than we think, which is a really exciting, encouraging finding. But we don't have that really nailed down very well. Nor do we have any sense of how to best fit a particular contemplative practice with an individual to maximize their benefits from practicing in that particular modality. And then finally, just a word of caution is that we have not done, and I'm referring to the scientists here, not done as good of a job at looking at the potential risks associated with these practices. So that's an area that we need to do more work in as well. So I thank you all for your attention.
Very much, Dr. Lee. Let's hear one more round of applause for Dr. Lee. Our next speaker is Dr. Anisha Durve. Anisha is a doctor of Oriental Medicine and an Ayurvedic doctor at the University of Miami's Osher Center of Integrative Health since 2022. In 2000, Anisha graduated from the Southwest College of Acupuncture in New Mexico with a Master's of Science in Oriental Medicine, and then integrated at the Academy of Traditional Chinese Medicine in Beijing. Intern at the Academy of Traditional Chinese Medicine. She has been in clinical practice for 20 plus years, integrating acupuncture with her unique blended style of acupressure, guided meditation, breath work, pranic healing, and sound healing. She co-authored a clinical textbook on acupressure in 2008 with Dr. Vasant Lad, titled Marma Points of Ayurveda, that teaches patients self-care techniques and acupressure. Dr. Durve has promised that she's going to do a little bit of teaching here about that Marma points that we can take home with us. Anisha is also an Ayur Yoga therapist, meditation instructor, and passionate about teaching patients how to thrive with Ayurvedic diet and lifestyle counseling. She has been teaching different styles of meditation since 1997 and has designed her own meditation bliss app, www.anisha.guru. Dr. Durve.
Yeah, I'm going to sit here. Ah, the point over there. Perfect. Thank you. All right. Namaste. It's an honor to be here today at this celebration and with the Kriya Yoga Foundation. I'm going to be sharing a little bit today about Ayurveda, which I think many people here in the audience maybe are already familiar with, but specifically talking about Marma therapy or Marma Chikitsa, which is a whole science inside of Ayurveda. I'd love to see a little show of hands. How many people here have heard of Marma therapy before? Okay, a few of you, that's great. And how many people are just familiar with Ayurveda in general or use it in your life? Wonderful. This is my kind of crowd. It's great. All right. Let's see. Oh, there we go. Okay. So the name Marma means vital energy point. And in Ayurveda, we have a whole system of these energy points, which we say are areas where our prana, our body's vitality, are focused and concentrated at these points. So as we touch these points or as we stimulate these points, we're really getting access to our body's prana and increasing our vitality. So all of us who practice pranayama, we know pranayama has many different ways that we're cultivating that flow of prana and enriching it. So in a similar way, Marma therapy allows us to access these beautiful energy points in the body, help with our circulation of prana, increase our vitality, and that leads to emotional and physical well-being. So the term Marma, the root mar actually means to kill. Don't let that alarm you. But this goes back to the origins of Marma therapy in ancient India was in the system of martial arts traditions. So there's a system called Kala Ripu that still exists today and is practiced in some places in India. And so they discovered when they were trying to injure an opponent, if they did this at a specific Marma point, they could inflict more damage or more harm to the body. So having that knowledge was a skill that was passed down throughout their tradition. They also realized that we could actually heal the body when someone was injured and help them recover faster if we went specifically to a Marma point. Sushruta is considered the father of surgery, which originated in Ayurveda. So the story goes that Sushruta was the royal physician to a king, and when this king rode out onto the battlefield, he actually got his nose sliced off. So the very first surgery was a nose job for this king to help repair him after being in battle. And so one of the things Sushruta said, whenever we're doing a surgical incision, we want to avoid doing that at a Marma point so the body can heal faster. So that's some of the wisdom that Ayurveda has, even though it's looked at in the West as an alternative form of medicine. Surgery actually was born out of necessity in Ayurveda, and we use this wisdom of energy points with that. So in total, we have about 117 Marma points in the body. I'm also an acupuncturist, so many people often ask, how do these points compare with the traditional Chinese medicine system? So about 2/3 of the Marma points correlate exactly, same point locations as the ones in the Chinese system, but sometimes their functions or indications might be a little bit different. Oops. I went too fast. So this gives you a little glimpse of all of the Marma points in the body. Those dots might be a little bit too small to see from where you are, but you can see we have a distribution of Marma points on the front, the back, and the sides of the body. Whenever we are studying these Marma points, we want to learn a little bit about their Sanskrit name, can give an indication of the origin of these points, the power of these points, what part of the body they're located on, which organ system they might help, for example. Every point has a specific anatomical location. We also say the points help to balance the doshas. So in Ayurveda, we have 3 doshas, Vata, Pitta, and Kapha, which we can look at as 3 different body types. But as we stimulate these points, we can also have a very strong influence on balancing those doshas. Every point we study has specific actions on the body, sometimes targeting specific organs or specific bodily systems. We have certain treatment protocols for each of these points. And then whenever there's a corresponding acupuncture point, I share that mostly for the acupuncturists that might be in my audience so they can understand the difference between points in both systems. So as we look at Marma functions, there's many different functions that affect our physical body, that affect our mind, but Ayurveda says that the body and mind are not really different. They're, in the West, we talk about mind and body integrating and working together. In the East, we really talk about mind and body as one. So part of Ayurvedic anatomy, we talk about the different channel systems in the body. And out of the 14 main channels, one of them is called Manovahashrotas, which is the channel for the mind. And Ayurveda says that this channel of the mind flows through the entire body. So we can access the mind by touching any one of these specific Marma points that might be on the body. That becomes a gateway to our inner world, to our emotions, to our pain, to be able to access that and to be able to heal that or release that. You can see there's also many different benefits for focusing on detox, rejuvenation, for preventive healthcare. For the mind, the Marma points, as we stimulate them, can increase mental clarity. They can help with decreasing stress, anxiety, depression, trauma. We can heal from all sorts of different emotional disorders by learning that we have the power of healing in our own fingertips if we access the points through touch, or we can access the points through meditation, through breath work, many other mechanisms as well. So wonderful ways that we can calm the mind, enhance awareness, and enhance our spirituality. So Marma Chikitsa is the term for any type of treatment or therapy. Oftentimes Marma Chikitsa is translated as Ayurvedic acupressure. So stimulating the points through touch and through acupressure is a very powerful way to do that. We're going to have that experience today, so you can all stimulate your own points with a little bit of Ayurvedic acupressure and have that experience yourself. But as you can see here from the picture, there's also many other ways that we can stimulate the points. We can use chromotherapy, using frequencies of different light at specific points. We can use sound healing. So specific sound vibration can go into the points. Massage is how Marma therapy has traditionally evolved in Ayurveda, is through the system of panchakarma or Ayurvedic detox. It has many different techniques, but Ayurvedic massage is one of the primary techniques that we use in detox. And so typical practitioners would stimulate these Marma points as they go through a massage. If you're having lung congestion, for example, the therapist might stimulate Apastamba Marma here at the chest to help with relieving that congestion and enhancing bronchodilation. All right. Okay. So this is a close-up of some of the Marma points on the face. I believe in your little booklets, there's also some of these slides and a picture that you'll be able to see as well. So in total on the face, we have 25 Marma points. This is the area of the body that has the most concentration of these energy points. And they're connected to all of our sensory organs. So if you think about as we go through the day, we're constantly using our sense of sight and smell and hearing and taste and touch. So it makes sense that we have a lot of these Marma points concentrated here on the face. Many of them can help with headaches, with migraines, can help with any sort of tension. A lot of us develop eye tension from staring at our computer screens all day long. If we have sinus issues, a lot of these points next to the nose can help with opening up the sinuses, help us breathe a little bit more deeply. So what I'd like to do now is walk you all through a little simple Marma self-care routine that you can do on yourself, stimulating some of these points. You don't have to know all the locations. You don't have to know all of the Sanskrit names. You don't have to even know what the points do. I'm just going to walk you through a simple protocol that you can use for daily self-care to enhance relaxation. So you all ready to join me? Perfect. So only thing I will say for anyone who's wearing glasses is you might want to just remove your glasses, set them in your lap. And then we'll start this simple routine together. So we're going to start with both of our index fingers coming in between the eyebrows. And here we're stimulating Ajna Marma, which is connected to our third eye. So you're just stimulating with very light touch. And then go ahead and close your eyes and take 3 slow, deep breaths. Beautiful. And now from this Ajna Marma point, we're going to slide across the eyebrows and come to the temples. There's a little depression here right at your temples, called Shankha Marma. We're going to do that 3 times. So coming back to this point at your third eye, sliding across the eyebrows, and then coming to the temples at that Shankha Marma. Each time you do this, feel yourself becoming more relaxed. This is a nice way to calm the frontal lobe of our brain. And then the last time you come here to Shankha Marma, we're just going to hold steady here. So Shankha Marma is very cooling. We say it cools excess pitta in the body, especially with our heat outside. We can all use a little bit of cooling. And now you can just start to move in a little circular manner here at the Shankha Marma. So if you have temple headaches, this is very soothing and calming for temple headaches. It's also a nice point to decrease acidity in the body. And then after you've done that circular movement, just holding steady one more time here at this point. Perfect. You can go ahead and gently release. How is everybody feeling? Good. So now we're going to come back with our index fingers to Ajna Marma. And we're going to slide on either side of the nose. We have a couple Marma points on either side of the nose, the Gandha Marmani, that help to open up the sinuses. And then you're going to come to either side of the nostril here as Kapola Nasa. Here, just hold steady and take a nice deep breath. Feel your sinuses opening even more. Beautiful. Come back to the Ajna Marma between the eyebrows. We're going to do that one more time, sliding on either side, and then coming to the depression on either side of the nose. If you do have sinus issues, then usually staying here longer, pressing a little bit deeper, you might hold for a minute or 2, will help the sinuses start to open up more. From here, we're going to slide across the cheekbones. You're kind of tracing your cheekbone. And then you're going to come up to that Shankha Marma at the temples. We're going to do that 3 more times. So coming from either side of the nostrils, tracing the cheekbone, and then coming to the temples. So most of us are really not aware of how much we use these facial muscles through the day, and we can oftentimes collect a lot of stress here. So this is a very nice rejuvenating way to just allow that energy flow here into the facial muscles. Good. And last time you're at Shankha Marma, you can go ahead and release. I'm going to teach you guys a simple acupressure first aid point. This is Oshtha Marma. So we locate Oshtha Marma between the nose and the upper lip. So you can place your thumbs under your chin for a little bit of support, and then bring both index fingers here to Oshtha Marma. Go ahead and gently close your eyes and take 3 deep breaths. So this revival point, we say, sends oxygen straight to the brain. If you're feeling dizzy, if you're feeling lightheaded, faint, you can press this point to try to revive consciousness. Also, if my talk is making you a little sleepy, this point will help to wake you up as well. And so from this Oshtha Marma now, we're going to slide to either corner of the mouth, Chabuka Marma, and then we're going to come right between the lower lip and the chin to Hanu Marma here. Hanu, and most of you have heard of Lord Hanuman. And so Hanu, we say, is where we hold our pride. Hanuman held his chin, held his pride. You could see that courage, that valor that he had. So as you press Hanuman, feel yourself tapping into your inner valor, your courage. And from here, we're going to slide across the jaw, going all the way to the base of the ear. We're going to do that 3 more times. So from this point, going all the way across. For anyone who has TMJ, this is a very great stretch to do every day, especially before eating or after eating if your jaw tightens. So feel yourself releasing that tension in the jaw. And then the very last time you do this, we're going to come to the base of the ear, and now we're going to hold and squeeze the earlobes and gently pull downwards. This is a nice grounding point for anyone who has high vata. If you've been flying, if you've been traveling, this helps to ground and settle our energy. From the earlobe, we're going to squeeze and go up the ear rim all the way to the very top. So at the very top, you're going to squeeze and gently pull upwards. And then we're going to come back down. So that's 1 round, and we're going to do 3 more rounds, stimulating all of these points on the ears. So we say the ear is a microsystem of the whole body. So if we don't have time to do a whole body massage, this is the shortcut. We can do a little ear massage and stimulate all of these points. So the very last time you do this, we'll come back to that earlobe, gently squeezing down, and then gently releasing. So we're going to end our self-care practice coming to a very powerful Marma point on the heart, connected to the heart at the center of the chest. So if we were measuring, we would measure down into the 4th intercostal space, but we don't need to be that specific. We're going to come right to the center of the chest, and you can use your thumb to just press into the midline there. You don't have to press very hard. This can often be a sensitive Marma point, but you're just going to press here with a little gentle touch. If you'd like, you can kind of move up and down to stimulate that point a little bit more. And this is called Hridayam Marma. Hridayam means the heart. This is a very powerful point to connect with on an emotional, spiritual level, any blocked emotions. This is where many of us hold our stress, we hold our fear, our trauma, our anxiety. And as we stimulate this point, it helps to release that. It can also help locally with circulation, with improving deepening our breath if there's any type of restriction in the lung area. And after we've done a little bit of movement, just come back and hold steady at that Hridaya Marma point again. And so we've stimulated all of these Marma points today with a little bit of touch using acupressure. The next thing I'd like to show you all is how we can continue to stimulate the same Hridaya Marma point, but doing it through some breath work and some meditation. So you can let go of pressing on the point there. Just gently relax your hands on your lap. And then we'll do a simple meditation practice together on that Hridaya Marma point. So go ahead and gently close your eyes, sitting up nice and tall so your spine is straight. As you close the eyes, becoming aware of your breath and taking a few slow, deep breaths. Now start to bring your awareness to that Hridaya Marma where you were just touching and stimulating that point, and see if you can feel yourself breathing into that area. Breathing into the center of the chest. And as you breathe here, you might feel any sort of tenseness or tightness in the chest area. Feel that starting to open up. With each breath, the chest is becoming more open. And as we breathe into that Hridaya Marma, we're starting to access the heart chakra here. Each of our 7 chakras has a specific Marma point that is connected to it. And so this Hridaya Marma becomes the gateway to the heart. As you breathe into this Marma, soften your breath. Soften your inhale, soften your exhale, and feel yourself becoming more relaxed as you breathe into here. We can add a little bit of visualization. So at this specific Marma point, you can start to visualize a beautiful golden colored light streaming in on the inhale. You can see that golden light penetrating a little bit deeper on the exhale to open that heart chakra. Notice if you have any emotions that have been lingering, stress, anxiety, worries, depression, anything you've been fearful of. Use this awareness of your heart center to start to breathe into that emotion. Breathe into this Marma point. And with each exhale, feel yourself starting to let go of any of the heavy emotion that might be there. Let go of any fears, any anxieties, any stress that gets trapped in our physical body, that gets trapped in our heart center, that gets trapped in this Marma. And as we breathe into this space, we start to invite healing. Allow yourself to feel a sense of lightness flowing into this Marma point with each inhale. Feel that lightness in your heart. Feel that lightness in your spirit. Let that lightness create a feeling of clarity in your mind, allowing you to see that your heart and mind are connected. Your heart and mind are one. And keep breathing into that Hridaya Marma, inviting whatever deep healing your heart is open to today. Let that golden light grow brighter. Let it penetrate deeper. And let that light heal that emotion. Feel a sense of clarity and peace in your heart. And allow yourself to open to that deeper and deeper. Every Marma point contains the body's intelligence. When we focus here at Hridaya Marma, we're connecting with the intelligence of our heart, the intelligence of our spirit, which is always present. We just tend to block that intelligence when we get stressed, when we get busy, when we get fearful. So feel yourself completely present in that heart space, present with your breath. And start to feel your inner radiance, your inner illumination. As we continue with that visualization, we'll add one more element to our meditation practice today. So you can mentally start to repeat, my heart is radiant. My heart is radiant. With each inhale, saying my heart, with each exhale, saying is radiant. And as you quietly repeat this mantra within you, feel that radiance in your heart expanding even more. And you can very gently now start to let go of that phrase. Start to let go of that visualization of the golden light. Keeping the eyes closed, just let your breath come back to normal. And take a moment to just observe how you feel from your practice today. Is anything different physically, mentally, emotionally? And always just taking this time to observe without any judgment. When you're ready, you can very slowly start to open the eyes again. You can place one hand over Hridaya Marma, the other hand on top, and just feel that nourishing energy from the meditation practice today, that you've taken this time to honor your heart, to be still with it, to feel that silence within, and to just be fully present. So this is all it takes in our busy lives where we're all running around, multitasking, overscheduled, working from morning till night. All it takes is a few minutes to help us reset. And so we can use the power of Marma therapy as a very simple reminder. First thing in the morning, before you do your pranayama or meditation practice. You can do it in the middle of the workday when you're feeling some stress is accumulating. You could do it before you go to bed as a nice bedtime practice to help you fall asleep. So it only takes a few minutes to walk through a simple self-care routine like we did here today. So I hope you all feel enthusiastic about using a little bit of Marma therapy in your own lives. The meditation practice we did today, we focused on Hridaya Marma, but you can do this with any of the body's Marma points. So if you have a specific area where you have pain, let's say in your abdomen, you could focus at a specific Marma point in the abdomen and really deepen your awareness, cultivate your awareness of breathing directly into that point to be able to create physical, mental, emotional change in a very powerful way. So Ayurveda's big message for all of us is we are our own healers and physicians, and we contain our own inner pharmacy within us. We can tap into that at any time and use our body's own intelligence and use our body's own wisdom to heal. So thank you all so much. I'm about to share some of our contact information, and we have a little table up front for just my center at University of Miami, the Osher Center. You're welcome to come and pick up a brochure later if you like after the talk. And we also have a little Marma poster if you're curious to see those points close up. You can come and take a look at that after. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Durve. And thank you for the practical demonstration for us. Give us one more round of applause, please. Thank you. There are several faces here that I'm not familiar with. And for their benefit, I'm going to introduce our Guruji. And I'm going to read from the script here, Paramahansa Prajnanananda Ji. Paramahansa Prajnanananda is the current spiritual leader of the Kriya Yoga International Organizations. Born in Odisha, India, he was raised in a profound spiritual environment that inspired his search for truth. In 1980, while still a college student of economics, he met Paramahansa Hariharananda, who initiated him into Kriya Yoga, and 15 years later, into the sacred path of sannyasa. After only 3 years, at the early age of 39, his master conferred upon him the highest title of Paramahansa, a designation reserved for monks and saints who have attained the summit of God realization. Author of many books on the science of yoga, practical guidelines to the application of the wisdom of Vedantic philosophy, and insightful metaphorical commentaries on the major holy scriptures and world religions, Paramahansa Prajnanananda binds and bridges Eastern and Western cultures with a harmonious, fresh, and non-sectarian approach. Guruji.
सामे वसत जिह्वायां वीणा पुस्तकधारिणी मुरारी वल्लभा देवी सर्वशुक्ला सरस्वती गुरु माता गुरु पिता गुरुमती गुरुगति बिना गुरु नमे ज्ञानम बिना गुरु नमे स्थिति. I bow to God. I bow to all the divine incarnations. I bow to all masters of all times and all places. I bow to my beloved Gurudev. I bow to all of you. Good afternoon, good evening. We all have assembled here to commemorate 50th anniversary of my Gurudev's coming to West, and at the same time 117th birth anniversary, which is coming in 2 days on 27th of May. During this special time, we all have assembled here in the University of Miami, and on my both the sides, two prominent personalities, Dr. David Lee, Dr. Anisha Durve. I give my heartfelt love and best wishes to both of them for sharing their wisdom. One from a very scientific, research-oriented presentation, the other from the age-old practice of Ayurveda. We all are enlightened by their presentations. And simultaneously, Dr. Durbe gave a practical demonstration of Marma Chikitsa and Marma meditation. You all surely have enjoyed it and felt something change, some inner experience. When Dr. Lee was standing and talking, I was thinking, oh, I have to stand and talk. That was my thought. When I saw Dr. Durbe sat down and spoke, I was a little bit more confident because I feel more comfortable like this. If you look at Dr. Durbe, Dr. Lee, and see, they kept their legs down. I kept my legs up. It is more comfortable for me to sit like this. Even in economy class aeroplane, I sit like this. That's why God made me little smaller in size. It will be easier and comfortable in this compressed seat in economy class. When I was looking at this topic, I saw mind-body wellness. Then I thought, why not body-mind wellness? Do you know why did I think like this? Here in this country, we make everything short. If it would be body-mind wellness, it will be BMW. And body and mind, body is a vehicle. It's a car. And mind is the driver. Breath or prana is the fuel. And in the back seat, one who is sitting there, not the back seat driver, just sitting there comfortably, is some energy, which we call as soul or atma in the body. Whether it is mind-body wellness or body-mind wellness, we all want to be happy, we all want to be well, and this is not just we all, the humans. This entire creation, the planet Earth, plants, animals, everybody should be well. That is why the Vedic prayer tells, Sarve bhavantu sukhina, let all be happy. This morning, I was looking through the window. We have a Swami who loves the bird, and he gives food to the bird. There is a place for food for the bird. It's very early in the morning. The birds have not come. But somebody sitting below that food place, do you know who was it? It's a cat. I looked at the cat. It was sitting so politely, with so much of patience, looking up, looking down, eyes closed, stretching the body a little bit down, and waiting. I waited and waited and waited till the birds come and to see the drama. But I have so much of shortage of time. I could not spare more time. I heard from another Swami who told, I just like it. I don't like the way the birds, they pray or they... I looked at the Swami who keeps the food. He said the birds are also intelligent. However, this creation is interesting. Do you have appetite? My question. You will ask, no, now not. Because there was some snacking. This is American English. So, this body is there. Body, in a healthy body, there should be good appetite. In healthy body, there should be good digestive power. In healthy body, there should be good assimilation. With these three conditions, appetite, digestive power, and assimilation, the food should also be good. Otherwise, even if you have good digestive power, good assimilative power, if the food is not healthy, then you know what happens. If we think or ask ourselves, whenever we eat, are we really hungry? Or are we just eating for eating's sake? Ask yourself. Anybody who doesn't get real appetite and eats because of the food looks nice, smells nice, maybe palatable, good taste, and eating little more, it is sign of unhealthy condition in the body. It is not health. A person who is really having good appetite, for him, the food which is in the front is palatable. A person who doesn't have really good appetite, really not hungry, even palatable food, delicious food may not. Ordinarily people, they eat for their palate, for their tongue, and that is why there is lots of trouble. In the world, if we know the statistics of number of people dying out of scarcity of food or starvation, and number of people dying out of wrong eating and because of wrong eating, other troubles, because of overeating, obesity. So you can imagine which one is higher. Appetite for the body. Do you have appetite for the mind? You will see what is appetite for the mind. Isn't your mind hungry? Think. Is there anything as mind hungry, appetite of mind, appetizer for the mind? Do you know? God has given us mind. Mind is an instrument, just like the body. What I told, mind is the driver. Mind's appetite is to have some joyfulness, pleasure. I want to be happy. Body should be comfortable. Mind should be happy and cheerful. And how to keep this mind happy and cheerful? Just simple question. One day I was flying from Australia to Europe. Next to me, an elderly man. It is a story of nearly 20 years ago or more than 20 years. I was much younger. So he was just eating and drinking. And I was there not eating or drinking. I'm sitting like this. And he asked me, young man, why don't you eat? Why don't you drink? I said, I'm happy. He said, I am also happy in drinking and eating. Another time I was flying from Miami to Frankfurt. So I was sitting like this, then I closed my eyes, then I meditated for some time, then I slept, then I meditated, then like this. I was just sitting like this for hours and hours. Few minutes before the arrival in Frankfurt, the flight attendant came to me and asked, sir, neither did you eat nor did you drink. Are you not tired? Are you not hungry? I said, no. How could you manage this? What did you do all this time? I said, I meditated, I slept, and that's all. He said, that's all? Where do you live? I said, I live near Vienna because I was going to the ashram. So can I get your address? So I gave the address. In the afternoon, there was public program in public talk on Kriya Yoga. I found that young man, flight attendant, sitting in the front. Then after the introductory talk on Kriya Yoga, he asked me, can you tell me what is the benefit of Kriya Yoga? I said, Kriya Yoga is a meditation practice which gives body, mind, and intellect healthy and content happy. He said, if people practice Kriya Yoga more and more, then we will lose our job. I looked at him, I said, how? Because if somebody will fly like you, not taking anything, because of practicing Kriya Yoga, then I will lose my job. But luckily, he came for the next day to learn meditating. Mind, appetite for the mind. When I travel, most of the time I'm in aeroplane, I look at people to just observe as a silent witness, not judgmental. Because in mindfulness, there is no judgmental observance. Let mind be free from. I see people are busy. Some people busy in watching video or movies. Some people are busy playing. Few people are busy in reading. They have their tablet or something, they go on reading. And some people sleep and snore so beautifully. You can see how relaxed they are. And somebody like me, silent witness of what is going on, and then I'm meditating. I was witnessing on 9/11. On the very day I was flying from Vienna to Miami. So, as I told you, normally I meditate or sleep, or sometimes I read. That time I was reading. I looked at the monitor, the flying information. The moment I looked at it, the aircraft was taking U-turn. Then the aircraft moved towards Europe. I was curious, and I asked the flight attendant what is going on. She said, nothing to worry. Our captain will announce. And the captain announced there is trouble in some airports in USA, or airports are shut down. Our company has directed us to fly back to Europe. So we didn't know what was going on. So when I landed in Vienna, I found quite a few people have come to receive me, because I didn't know that I'm landing. Does anybody know that I'm coming back? Because I have left Vienna for Miami. When I came out, I asked, how could you know me that I'm coming? So they said, don't you know? Then I got telephone call from USA later on, what was going on. And then they told me, don't come to USA now. I said, why? Because slowly when there was a proposal to open up the airports and all this, they said, because of your dress, your beard, maybe some people will misunderstand some people. I said, look, when there is problem in a place, we should be there. Not out of fear, I came. You'll be surprised. I saw whatever the apprehension some people had, it was completely baseless. People are more open, more cooperative, more talking, more nice. Even when I fly, sometimes people look like this, and I went to the 0 point, ground zero. We had little silent prayer there. This place was smelling horrible. God has given this body should be well, mind should be well, and minds must have good appetite, good digestive power, good assimilation. And at the same time, the food should be healthy. You will ask me, what is food for the mind. I'm not telling, I didn't say what is good food for the body, I don't say now for good food for the mind. Then I'm telling intellect. I'm extending the topic, not limiting between mind and body. In the yogic literature, in Vedantic thought, we have 4 inner instruments, just like we have 10 outer instruments. 5 organs of perception, 5 organs of action, which are outside, external. 4 inner instruments: mind, intellect, ego, and memory. So, what is the food for the intellect? Do you know? Somebody said, when there is so much of problem on this earth, what is the purpose of going to moon, sending our what they say, satellite or some to Mars and go on? It is hunger of intellect. Our scientists, Dr. Lee, they want to know. He said that study on body, mindfulness, meditation, yoga, it is in the primary stage. There is need for more study, more research. It is true. But rishis, the saints and sages from ancient time, they have done lots of study themselves. Dr. Lee said, to reduce the breath rate to 6 per minute. So, average breath rate from 15 times per minute to reduce it to 6, to make the breath slow, rhythmic. He told we practically experienced making our breath little slow, deep in our demonstration. Intellect, why do scientists think of going to Mars or this? It is appetite of intellect. We want to know. A child doesn't know what is the benefit of this food or that food. A child doesn't want to know. Child wants to see that my mother is giving me food and my mother knows what I like and I eat it. And mother sometimes convinces, eat this is good for you. I remember, I usually fast, I love to fast. Once I was fasting with grapefruit juice. So one doctor and an instructor on Kriya Yoga was visiting from India and was traveling with me. So we were in Texas and I was fasting. 9 days I fasted with grapefruit juice. And every day all are sitting for their food. I am sitting with grapefruit juice. Then he was just looking every day, what I am drinking? Why you are drinking like this? Very long time disciple of Gurudev from early 70s. I said it is good. Good for body, good for... The last day when I will break my fast, I told doctor, I will give you a little of this juice. He said, why little? I said, only little. Because the name is grapefruit, he thought it should be sweet like grapes. He never tasted grapefruit ever in his life. When he took a sip of it, you can imagine what happened to his face. He said, Swamiji, what is this? Is it medicine? Or is it the style he was talking? Is it medicine or fruit juice? I said, fruit juice. Fruit juice. You stayed with this for 9 days, torturing yourself. My friends, my dear ones, we need healthy body, healthy mind, healthy intellect. You'll ask, now how? As I told you, healthy body means good appetite, good digestive power, good assimilation, and good food. Now, what is good food for the body, what is good food for the mind, what is good food for the intellect, and overall, what is good food for life? What should you do? My friends, there is lots of topics, discussion, even so-called research going on. I'm from India. I have been practicing Kriya Yoga since I was 21. Now I'm going to complete 65. So I have been practicing this meditation technique. India has given few special gifts to the world. Let there be more scientific research. Let there be more study. What you'll say, what India has given to the world? Very simple thing I'm telling. India has given yoga. I'm not telling which brand of yoga. Is it Ayur yoga? Is it this yoga, that yoga? I'm not talking of. Yoga is an attitude. Yoga is a philosophy. Yoga is a way of life. Yoga is a practical science. My Gurudev used to say, what yoga is. He used to say, look at my two hands. How many hands do you see? Everybody will say one. So Gurudev said, but how many hands are there? They said two. But one hand is visible to you, one is invisible behind. We are all two. Visible body, invisible something. Just like visible microphone, invisible power. They are together. And because of that, we all are alive. And if there will be separation, finished. This union of this visible and invisible, because after that the visible body is there, but there is something missing, that invisible. This union of visible and invisible is yoga. So simple. Each individual, knowingly or unknowingly, is a yogi. But one who perceives it, feels it, is a yogi in reality. I am talking. You are listening to me. I am talking. You are trying to understand from my Indian accent of English. This is union of ideas. I'm looking at you, you are looking at me, union of eyes. I hugged you, you hugged me. This is union of two beings. This is life. I looked at food. Dr. Lee looked at samosa and he had a bite. So union, looking is one union, taking a bite is another union, and gulping inside is complete union. This union, my Gurudev used to say, this yoga is continuous in every activity. My Gurudev used to say, we all are living. How? Either Dr. Lee or Dr. Durve both spoke on breath. My Gurudev said, breath is life. Without breath, breath is your beauty. Without breath, breath is your brain power. Without breath, breath is your strength. Breath is your talent. He goes on talking the beauty of breath continuously. Then breath is your treasure. Then he used to say, breath control is self-control. I will give you a simple example. Even if nobody knows what breath control is, everybody practices it. You'll say, how? Do they really practice breath control? Yes. For example, if anybody who doesn't know anything of breath control, lifting up a heavy thing, we do it. At our home, workers do it. When one is lifting up a heavy thing, how is his breath? What happens to the breath? Just you think or go and practice it. At that time, you hold your breath. You want to swallow the delicious food in the mouth. While swallowing it, what happens to your breath? Nobody has watched it, but we hold the breath control. You go to the toilet, you observe when you are beginning the motion, what happens to your breath? My Gurudev said, breath control is self-control. Breath mastery is self-mastery. We speak of stress, tension, anxiety, fear, emotion, frustration, and so on. But what is happening to breath? What is happening to the heartbeat during fear, during anxiety, during, suppose as a child going to the dentist? How is the breath? So breath and life, breath and activity, breath and the physical system, whether it is circulatory system, respiratory system, all the systems in the body, they are correlated, interlinked. Regulation of breath to make our life beautiful. My Gurudev used to say that, for example, food. My Gurudev said, you should not imitate my food, I will not imitate your food. Take your food, but chew it, chew it, chew it, chew it, chew it. Enjoy it, and always feel, because this is, whether it is mindfulness or it is meditative eating, take food joyfully, every bite, every chew, watch with love. Gurudev used to say, I have seen him. His life was so disciplined, so moderate. I have never seen that this food is today is little delicious, I'll eat little more. My Gurudev used to say, take food as medicine. Hunger is appetite, food is medicine. Medicine may not taste palatable, but medicine gives health. Similarly, food gives you health. Don't think of only palatable food. My Gurudev used to take bitter every day. During his taking food, there will be something bitter. Bitter is good, but many of us, we are not used to this bitter taste. Again, coming back, we need healthy mind, healthy body, healthy intellect. We should have good appetite. If somebody has less appetite or low digestive power, they run to the doctor, to the Ayurvedic physician or allopathic physician, that I have lost my appetite. So to get good appetite, good exercise. To get good appetite of the mind, good digestion, some practices. Good appetite for the intellect, right understanding. And I'm not telling exactly what, I'm not marketing Kriya Yoga. I'm just telling, we need this. India has given one, this is yoga. The second gift of India is, vegetarian food. You will ask, why do you talk of vegetarian food? If my Gurudev would have been there, he would have said, don't talk about this. Many people, but yes, it is true. God has given us 32 teeth. Recently, I heard from a professor of dental surgery, he said, nowadays, people are not getting 32 teeth. It is getting 28. Because we get the 4 wisdom teeth when we grow up. He told that nowadays they're not getting it. I asked why. He said, we can't say, but maybe people are not using their teeth so much. That professor of dentistry was telling. I said, what does it mean? I will give you an example. Suppose there is orange. One glass of orange juice, how many oranges? Those who have squeezed it, they know it. 3 to 4 oranges, one glass. To eat 4 oranges, how long it will take? To drink 1 glass of orange juice, how long it will take? to chew, and to take 3 to 4 oranges, it will take quite a good period of time, but to drink a glass of orange juice, duck, finish. God gave us teeth, we don't want to use teeth. Yes, somebody's in hurry, somebody's unwell, give them juice is fine. Why can't you chew fresh fruit joyfully? You will tell we have no time. People have time. Do you know, somebody said, do you know what is modern time? Modern time is that time when people have no time. People, do you know what is happening to their time? This machine. Always, the time is stolen. The modern gadget and technology is stealing our time. It's stealing our mind. It's stealing our inner calmness, and which we heard either from working longer period in front of the computer screen. I heard in the talk. So we have time, but we are becoming more lazy. Do you know, in nature, all are active. Physically, the birds are active, animals are active until and unless we engage them. I saw there is a monkey jungle here, and in the board of the monkey jungle it is said, here humans are encaged while monkeys jump free. Do not, that is what is happening to us. We are encaged. We are encaged in our room or working table. Our physical activity is so less, and we don't find time to walk outside, look at nature, beautiful flowers, spring season, birds are chirping. We don't have time. And when doctor is telling you have to do some body work, you have to work out yourself, and we run on the machine in a closed room again, and with some hearing something in the ear, and we are running on the machine. Why can't we walk for a few minutes outside in fresh air joyfully and looking at the nature? This is what is happening to us in the modern times, and we are getting sick. Body is sick, mind is sick. Ayurveda, yoga, food. Food should be, my Gurudev used to say, the food should be easily digestible. I stopped here with teeth. God gave 32 teeth. Out of 32, 4 teeth are canine. 28 teeth are vegetarian teeth. These 4 teeth, canine teeth, God has given us for circumstantial, condition. Suppose hundreds of years ago, people living in Alaska. Recently, I got the information. I read the Holy Bible so many times. In the Holy Bible, Genesis, in the Torah, Genesis, first chapter, 29 verse. God is telling which food I have given to you. However, India has given vegetarian food. Third gift of science of healthy living. It is not treating the medicine. To be healthy, that is what Ayurveda is. Be sick and go to the doctor. Don't be sick. Why you'll be sick? There was one Ayurvedic physician in India long ago. His name is Bhagavatta, who is talking about lifestyle. Your positive lifestyle will make you free from 85% of so-called illness. 10% of illness can be cured by the doctors, 5% no one can help. However, why? We have to live and stay healthy, stay happy, stay young, stay joyful. It is possible. And modern world is very open, but people get confused. Confused with too much of information, too much of ideas, too much of theories, too much of practices. So we will not keep our mind confused. So we should live a positive life, happy life. And I'll conclude with a beautiful prayer that, as I told you, Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina, we want all to be happy and healthy. This prayer is, the earth is one. Creation is one. We all are one. This is one family. It is not division. Yes, for political reason there can be division. For administrative reason there can be division. But essentially we all are one. Creator is one. Earth is one. We belong to one family. Although he is born in Michigan, she is born in Pune, I was born in Odisha, but we are sitting here. It doesn't matter where we are born. We are all one. To bring that oneness in us. And that is another beautiful message of India. We all are one. People might have different faiths, no problem. People might practice different things, no problem. But we all are essentially one. This is the beautiful message of yoga and India's spiritual tradition with these few words. I conclude again giving thanks to Dr. Lee and giving thanks to Dr. Dorve. And if I would have told in my old style or my traditional style, I would have told Anisha Ma and David Baba. We call us Baba means father and Ma means the mother. So we are really, I'm so happy that you came and we sat together. Whatever God and Gurus told or spoke to me, I spoke. My love to all of you. God bless you all. I bow to all of you. I bow to my beloved Gurudev. I'm praying for the entire creation. Let there be peace, progress, and prosperity everywhere. Let there be no suffering in any form, anywhere. Let we have everything in plenty. Om Tat Sat Om Om Amen. Thank you all.
Thank you, Guruji. Pranam. Question and answer session for half an hour. You don't need me for that. There are going to be 3 volunteers with microphones. So please raise your hand. If you could just please say your name and who the question you want to address to. Where are the microphones? There's.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Paula. Nice to meet you all. Very good conference. I'm a massage therapist, so I have 2 questions. The first one is for the doctor. I forgot her name, sorry. For you. Okay, so what do you think about, for example, when you're doing Marma therapy and then you want to include the Marma therapy to a regular massage? Is that something that you could do? Or it's better to do just the Marma points and then maybe an Ayurvedic massage, or can you combine both?
Yes, that's the beauty of Marma therapy, is we can integrate it into so many different forms of massage. It doesn't just have to be an Ayurvedic massage. That is the signature of Panchakarma and Ayurvedic massage, is that we do give emphasis to the points. But you could be a healer of any background that can utilize this information of points to stimulate the body. And also for all of us who are parents, you can use this on your children. You can use this on your spouse, your partners. So it's a very nice, you don't have to be trained as a medical professional, but we can learn just a few Marma points can go a long way at our own healthcare and benefiting that.
Okay, one more question. I don't know if it's for the doctor or for the guru or for both. Do you think that most of the physical or mental illness are signs of emotions that the body hasn't healed yet. I don't know, because it could be for a scientific view or also spiritual point of view. So be free to answer. I don't know. Or maybe we could have both points of view, right? I don't know.
Sure, I will share from the Ayurvedic perspective. We say the body and mind is one. So every physical illness has a mental emotional component. Every emotional imbalance we have can turn into some type of physical ailment. So strategically, we want to always work at balancing both.
And for a scientific point of view, can we have an answer or?
Boy, I don't really feel qualified to answer that one.
I don't know. I mean, for doctors, sometimes it's nowadays, medicine and spirituality, it's changing a lot, right? So doctors, when you approach with a patient that it has a disease or any pathologies, it's changing a lot, because that is my question, that sometimes nowadays, it's not just like about which is your disease. It's like, how do you feel, what is happening in your life? And maybe that is the root or the cause of the disease. So that importance in life, right? Like how it's changing from a scientific point of view and also for a spiritual point of view. But thank you.
Okay, I'm telling little to your question. My Gurudev used to say, Jato rog mundite ar bundite. All the ailments that human being is having, it is first here, then here. So most of the diseases are first caused in the mind and reflected through the body. So for example, I will tell about my own sickness, and I was born with asthma. And I grew up with allopathic medicine. Till I was 18, 19, every day taking medicine and all this. Thank God I was not up to inhaler. But I was tired. Every day medicine. Still then, I was not so strong. By God's grace, I found a person who told me, allopathy cannot cure this disease, can suppress it. I'm talking of asthma. But do this, and you will be much better. I'm telling, from that age of, he first convinced me. That was giving me mental, comfort and consolation, also inspiration. I followed him, I practiced. Since 1978, today is 2024, so it is 45, 46 years. At least for asthma, I have not taken a single medicine. Yes, sometimes I get little allergic cold. Nowadays, because of my too much of mobility, less, practices also, sometimes I feel little asthmatic. But for all these years, I'm much healthier and good. So what happens? Body needs treatment. There is need for medicine whenever it is needed. It's fine. But mind needs more, whether it is counseling, inspiration, and positive attitude. Mind needs also good orientation. I think this is my person. I am not neither a doctor nor. Thank you.
Thank you for all the speakers, Dr. Lee, Dr. Durve, and of course, our beloved Guruji. Dr. Durve, you kind of mentioned about migraines and how, possibly that can be treated with acupressure. I wanted to particularly ask you about a particular technique that you would recommend for migraines. And also, I don't know if Dr. Lee has conducted any kind of studies regarding that, if you can also pitch in as to what you think. Thank you.
For headaches and migraines, it really depends where they're located. So depending on that, I taught you guys Shanka Marma for anyone who has temple headaches. But for anyone who has frontal headaches, we have a number of different Marma points right above the eyebrows, top of the forehead that can help. Some people get headaches, migraines at the back of the head. So we have very powerful Marma points here at the occiput, on the back of the neck that can help. So depending where the location is specifically, we'll teach certain Marma points that directly correlate to those areas. And then from the Ayurvedic perspective, we're also looking to see which dosha is aggravated. So depending on the aggravated dosha, there are specific Marma points that also help to either balance Vata or Pitta or Kapha that we add into that protocol. So I don't have one set protocol, but depending on the patient and how it's presenting, then I'll show them a specific sequence that they can do to help with that.
Yeah, and I can add that I didn't mention this in the talk, but there is a real strong literature on the use of mindfulness techniques like MBSR to address pain and our relationship to it. And so I don't know of specific studies targeting those living with migraines. There's probably been done, but just in general, there's strong evidence that these types of practices do help with management of pain.
Hi, I have a question for Dr. David Lee first, then I have another one. Dr. David Lee, I'm a psychologist and I'm also a Reiki master. And I've started combining the two, and I've done some research into energy healing, and there isn't that much out there. But it seems that there is capacity to measure energy of the body field. And so I wanted to know, what are the prospects for any research to start coming into areas like energy healing and Reiki to be used and adjunctively with psychotherapy?
Yeah, I'm very curious about the benefits of Reiki, and you're correct that there's been very little work done in that area. But I would like to see more of that done, but I have not personally been involved in any work in that area.
Do you see it happening in the near future? Is this something that's really far away?
You know,
Hard to say.
You know, there's so many of these contemplative practices out there that are worthy of study, and it is a bandwidth issue for researchers.
Okay.
So I would imagine that it will happen. I can't say what the timeline would would be.
And I have a question for my dearest Guruji. So many of my psychotherapy patients, I have them come twice a week, one for regular therapy and one for doing a little meditation. And so I'll do guided meditations like a yoga nidra or a mindfulness-based, which John Kabat-Zinn even. And some of them just come in and they're like, I'll do this. And then they go, I don't want to do this. This is not comfortable. My mind is really busy. And I was wondering what kind advice you'd have to sort of use some wisdom and sense of humor to bring them in to be more open to the experiences of the changes in the mind when we are doing the breath work, because it really can change so much and has changed so much for me personally. And I feel that psychotherapy alone is insufficient for a lot of pain.
Thank you. Do you know, nowadays we are forgetting to smile. We think we have too much things to be worried for. Little relaxation, little smile, little cheerfulness, and as we heard from mindfulness or breath consciousness, motivate them, just watch your breath, that's all.
Hello, my name is Debbie, and I'm so nervous. I have a question, because I work with children. I teach mindfulness to children, I teach pretty much wellness in the public school, the private schools. We have a farm where we teach wellness, gardening, nutrition, and pretty much everything when it comes to mind-body wellness. And my question is, what is the best age to teach kids about mindfulness and Marma? So I guess there's two questions.
I'll answer the question regarding Marma therapy. You can start really at any age. I like to actually teach my pregnant clients how to do Marma therapy. So when they, as soon as they have a baby, they can start working on a newborn right away. I also train midwives how to work on women while they're going into labor, and that can help with reducing pain, reducing stress, reducing anxiety. I showed you guys earlier the technique where we went across the eyebrows, right? From that Ajna Marma across the eyebrows to the temple. If you do that a couple of times, anyone who has young kids, you can put them to sleep right away. Even babies, it works very well. So there's no age limit. We can start anytime.
Yeah, and there's a lot of exciting work being done in bringing mindfulness and other mind-body training right into the classrooms and starting in grade school. And there are, age-appropriate activities that can be incorporated into the classroom. And it's been shown to be beneficial in terms of classroom management, disruptive behaviors, attention of the students themselves. One of the fun practices that can be easily incorporated in the classroom is Bumblebee, which is just a pranayama practice, right? And the kids really love to do that, all sitting around and sounding like a bumblebee. And that's a great grounding activity that can be done.
Good.
Hello, my name is Chad Olin, and I'm a technology entrepreneur. I have a question for Guruji. I'm curious if you have any guidance for humanity around the use of artificial intelligence to help us. And as a follow-on question, I'm curious if you have any guidance for humanity in general in this technological age that we live in. Thank you.
My loving friend. So we are living in this time, we are too much dependent upon machines. It is useful. I'm not against all this modern technology. I fly with technology. I use computer, but only writing and little bit of reading. Since last quite a good number of years, in 2017, I have stopped internet. I don't have mobile telephone. I have no email access, nothing. I travel all over the world. Once you drop me in the airport, you may not know where I'm landing. Is your flight cancelled? This happened. But it is all fine with me. What is happening? Be more and more natural. Natural in your smile, natural in your lifestyle. More artificiality we bring into ourselves, just like artificial flavor, artificial color, more artificiality, it takes us from our natural well-being. Use artificial intelligence, but don't lose your creativity. Because if you depend upon artificial intelligence to create something for you to write, nowadays the children are cheating the teacher, that they want one essay and artificial intelligence can write one essay for this boy. But this is not creativity. Let not the machine steal our memory, our intelligence, our creativity. and let me not be too much addicted to this gadget. And the too much of this, it is little children so much addicted to video games. It is not good. Play little, but not addicted. So I love the world. We, the humans, we have the responsibility to make this world a better place. As individual, I'll start from myself. I'll try to be a little better person, more kind, more loving, more smiling, more caring. So the change should come from me. That's all. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Diana, and I have a question for Dr. Durbe. Okay, I was wondering if Marma therapy can help increase bone density, that is to treat osteoporosis.
Thank you for that question. So Dr. Lee shared a lot of wonderful slides of studies. We have really no clinical studies that have been done yet on Marma therapy. I'm hoping at the University of Miami to change that and start doing designing some studies there and working with our patient population. So bone density specifically, there's no studies about it, but we can also integrate Marma work into yoga therapy. And so with specific yoga techniques, specific asanas, we're giving stimulation to certain Marma points. And so hopefully there'll be a future study design showing with specific asanas and Marma point stimulation, how it could help with bone density down the road, but nothing currently to share that.
I guess I can ask the question next. My name is Lalita Aaron, and my question is to Guru Devji. I have worked in the field of mental illness, and we are working on it now. And we have a place which is more like vocational rehab for people with severe mental illness. And I had a daughter who also had that issue. And I always thought that our philosophy of having the power within, having that oneness with the supreme power, if we could explain that somehow in simple words to these, souls who are really smart and great and nice, and if we can get them to realize it, it will be such a blessing. So we have a place, and I wanted to do a workshop for them with yoga and Ayurveda and this kind of workshop, but in simple words from basics to get them to understand it. And it's just a request that if you could plan something like that, I would be so thankful.
Thank you for asking this question. I will give, as you are from Indian background, do you know who is the chariot driver of Surya?
Chariot driver of?
Surya, the sun.
Yeah.
Who? Yeah. I'm answering. His name is Aruna.
Yeah.
He's the brother of Garuda. Aruna's, this part of body is completely undeveloped.
Uh-huh.
Only from here, this is description. From here, this part of body is developed. And he's the chariot driver, the mythological description, he's the chariot driver of the sun. A person who is, or a child who is physically, challenged, so much of deformity and so much of limitation, but bringing light to everybody, life to everybody by bringing sun, sun's light. We the humans, we don't know why this thing happened to this boy or girl at this age. We are the parents, we are the teachers, we in the society, we have the responsibility to give them little more time, love, more attention, more motivation. Spending time with this type of children and raising them with love is more important. So we should do this. So whether they go for any rehab center or special school, surely they must be paying attention. As parents also, we should find some time to be with them, telling them stories, motivating them, keeping their mind more positive, more focused slowly. They might be slow in their learning, but we can do it. We all have our own responsibilities. The parents have similar responsibilities. I pray for you, I pray for your children, and pray for this type of children who are suffering nowadays. We can find, different like autism and all these. Many children, they're suffering, and this is increasing nowadays more. So we should be very careful about food, which food is really making them agitated or reactive, which food is really good for them, playfulness with them, making them, so it will help. I am praying for them, praying for this type of children, praying for strength for the parents of the children. God bless you.
Could I just...
Swamiji, my name is Damodar Aaron. I'm husband of Lalita who just spoke. Recently, I finished listening to lectures by Swami Sarvapriyananda on Mandukya Upanishad. And I have sort of, I'm between like confusion and realization that this body is just the body, the real God is within. And my question to you is, how can Kriya Yoga help in accessing the soul within?
Thank you. First, let you answer the question. You wanted to supplement.
Sure. I just wanted to say that there is been work done in bringing mindfulness training to individuals living with severe mental conditions like schizophrenia and in adult populations. And the researchers approached this very, very cautiously, for fear that there could be, adverse effects. But what they have found is that there is benefit to learning these practices. I don't know about the research literature in children and adolescents that may be underway. I just don't know. But the work that has been done in adult populations, I would say, is encouraging.
Well, people we deal with are adults. They're 18 and over. So they are. I call them children because they're like my children. I'm 73,
Okay.
so they're children to me. But that will be perfect. I would love to talk to you further and find out more about it. Thank you. And Swamiji, thank you.
So thank you for the question you asked from Mandukya Upanishad, and the very simple principle, as I didn't tell more elaborately, I said that visible and invisible. In this visible body, there is invisible spirit or soul or whichever word you tell, power of God or anything. But because of that invisible, the visible is functioning. Kriya Yoga teaches to observe the invisible through the visible physical mental activities. Again, Kriya Yoga teaches to observe the invisible through every visible physical and mental activities. Suppose I'm waving my hand. That you will say it is mindfulness of waving my hand, holding like this, being mindful, keeping it here, and then speaking mindfully to be conscious of the invisible, making these visible hands move, making this visible breath, and how the breath is going in and coming out. Visible words, visible means perceivable. How these words or thoughts are coming to me. So to observe the invisible through the visible activities, functions of the body and the mind, it helps you to go to that level of calmness where you become The person who is observing this, invisible becomes one with the invisible. It comes gradually, it needs practice. Theoretically, we listen to talks. Suppose we came here, theoretically we listen to. But practically, we practiced little Marma meditation. Similarly, listen to talks, beautiful. But follow some practice, just like we teach or we practice Kriya Yoga. Follow some teacher and practice it, not just theory, direct practice, how to feel, how to know, how to go beyond. It needs the direct guidance of a qualified teacher. Thank you.
Thank you, Swami.
Hi, this is Brian. Just a quick question for Guru. I think we're living in an interesting time right now where, at least my lifetime, I look and I see geopolitically the risk is high as it's ever been. Do you have any advice on how we should steer the world towards a greater sense of peace and how each of the individuals in the room may be able to help?
Thank you. Was there any time there was no war? Was there any time on this earth? But if you compare the last century and this century, the severity of war, chaos is much less. We, the humans, are becoming more conscious, more aware, and more respectful of what to be done, what not to be done. So to me, traveling all over the world, seeing people everywhere, I feel there is a rise of upsurge of positive awareness, more consciousness everywhere. So the best thing, what spirituality teaches, the change should come from within. I will change myself. I will not create anything which will create turmoil within myself. I will not create anything which will create discord, differences, distance between we two or three or in the family. So the change should come from within. Paramahansa Yoganandaji, my Gurudev's elder brother's disciple and guru, author of Autobiography of Yogi, who came to this country in 1920, and he taught this technique of Kriya Yoga since that time. He told, by changing yourself, you have contributed yourself to change the world. Being in peace, you have contributed enough to bring peace in the world. So this is our duty to be more peaceful, more joyful, and more caring and more loving. Thank you.
Thank you very much for wonderful questions. It shows the amount of interest that these eminent speakers generated. And I would request Guruji to give thanks to our two guest speakers. Do we? Yeah, okay, thank you.
Beautiful.
Dr. Lee, Dr. Durve, it has been immense pleasure and honor to have you here. We will conclude the program with a music piece. Do we have the artist here? No? Okay. All right. Would you say a concluding prayer, Baba? Would you say a concluding prayer?
Those who know Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina will chant together, and those who do not know, close your eyes and listen to it. The meaning of this prayer: let all be healthy, let all be happy, let all be in peace, and let there be no suffering anywhere. Let us close our eyes and Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramayah, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschit Dukkha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
And big